practically every one of the top 40 records being played on every radio station in the United States is a communication to the children to take a trip, to cop out, to groove. The psychedelic jackets on the record albums have their own hidden symbols and messages, as well as all the lyrics of all the top rock songs. And they all sing the same refrain. It's fun to take a trip. Put acid in your veins.
WCBS-FM, the Radulich Broadcasting Network, live with the Metal Hammer of Doom. And I am your host, DJ Mandated Reporter Mark Radulich. And joining me is my co-host. He is too beautiful, girl. That's why it'll never work. Coop left me suicidal when he said it's over now. Cooper, how you doing?
Well, I'm doing a lot better than whoever was singing that song or whoever wrote that song, because Jesus, I mean, I know girls are pretty, but don't hang yourself, bro. There's other ones.
You know, the one universal constant of people I do podcasts with is everybody no-sells my silly openers. Like, I come on here with pies in hand, you know, and toy snakes in my pants and and a horn, and I'm like, ha hee hee, ho ho, look at me, and then I throw it to whoever I'm co-hosting with, and they go, you're all weirdos. The best of that is Robert Winfrey, by the way. He is truly Sam the Eagle. But you're up there, Mr. Undertaker, Mr. No Cell.
Well, no. I see. The problem is you do it at the beginning. See, I start serious, and then depending on where the podcast goes, I get incredibly silly. You know this.
I see.
I mean
you got
this. We have spent I've spent literally 2 hours total on podcasts this year making masturbation jokes. So don't tell me I'm not silly.
Well, no, you are Mr. Funtime Robert Cooper, and everybody knows it who follows the Radulich Broadcasting Network. I'm just saying, you do start off a little cold, and then you warm up, and then you do out-silly me. I'll give you that much.
Well, see, I was actually going to keep singing, but I wasn't sure. So I was like, damn, he's like, how you doing, Mr. Cooper? And I'm like, I should have kept singing. Because I can keep doing that. I mean, hell, last week I almost did rap for you, so.
This is true. This is true. All right, folks, you are, in fact, listening to the Metal Hammer of Doom. This is our Jonas Exodus blowout party. It's just me and Cooper and you at 323-657-0901. Again, that number is 323-657-0901. If you want to call in and talk, shoot the breeze, request a song, whatever. Initially, I had said just send them in to me by Twitter or by Facebook. But you know what? Since my wife is in the next room and Jonas could be making an appearance on this podcast at any moment, I figured, what the hell? Let me kick open the bar. Yeah, exactly. As I said to Teasley earlier in the day, if I yell, shit just got real, folks, Coop, take over. Now you know why. Thank you very much. Good night. I just decided to kick open the barn door. Anyone who wants to call in and hang out with us, it's cool, baby. We're going to play a lot of music tonight, more so than what we would normally play on a Metal Hammer of Doom podcast. Before we even get into this, I just want to talk a little bit about how we got here. Initially, I had conceptualized this whole podcast came out of the fact that there was a run of right hook shows where John and I were talking, we're reading articles about music. There were studies that certain kind of music would produce this kind of result in a human being's personality, or some other weird thing was going on. There was some stuff about Metallica in the news. I think that's when the initial Tim Lambessa story broke. In any case, like every week I was finding one or two stories having to do with music, and then so at the time we were trying to expand the podcast that we were doing from the Right Radio, and we said, well, let's do one that's just dedicated to music. And sometimes when John and I get together, it's hashtag we still got it, hashtag we never lost it. And sometimes it's a fucking mess. And that podcast was a fucking mess.
Chicken noises?
But chicken noises would have made it exponentially better. It was trying to do essentially exactly what we were doing with the Right Hook, only focusing exclusively on music, and then we just started doing what we do with the retrospectives, which weren't as good as our retrospectives. So in any case, it was I still wanted to do it though, even though we didn't do a good job at it. So I said, okay, and this is when I was still trying to actively produce content for 411. I said, let me throw together a music podcast. Maybe we'll review albums, we'll talk music news. We'll make it a big music podcast. And the only one that volunteered was Coop.
That's right, boys and girls. I was the only one to jump on the Radulich grenade.
That's right. But I threw this idea out there, and Jeremy Thomas was like, yeah, go ahead, do whatever, but you can't just do music reviews in lieu of written word, because the written word is what gets us the clicks. I said, okay. But Coop came on the show, and it started out as just strictly album reviews, and that's what it's mostly been since then. It's just me and Coop kind of picking an album and deciding that we're going to talk about it for an hour or so. And listen to tracks, and either we do new albums or we do retrospectives or we do older albums that we're revisiting, like Body Count or
Saint Anger.
What was it? Saint Anger, yeah. But I have to say, and I want to say this before the show goes any further, I'm really grateful that, in all seriousness, and then we can get to the silly. I'm really grateful that Robert Cooper took a chance on somebody who he really didn't know, and decided to do a podcast with me, because Robert Cooper was sort of instrumental in reminding me that I like music, because I'd forgotten for a little while there. I mean, when it's so easy to find new music just by clicking around Spotify, sort of the heart and soul of what I used to enjoy about finding new music kind of goes right out the window. But there was Robert Cooper sort of insisting that there was really good stuff out there and that I shouldn't just be totally reliant on Spotify. And reignited a bit of a fire under me, saying, hey, it's fun to talk music with somebody who's as passionate about it as I am. So I want to thank Robert Cooper for that. And he is absolutely 100% what makes the Metal Hammer of Doom enjoyable for me every other week. So thank you, Coop.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy I could do that. Like, my column's been under a hiatus just because I do like 5 podcasts a week when I'm not doing homework, so it's just become like 6 hours a week to dedicate to a column has become a pain in my ass. But, you know, like, I still love metal, and like the column's coming back. It's just, you know, I'm a little overworked. But, you know, like, I'm just happy to talk metal with people. Like, that's not something that I really get to do in my everyday life, especially now that I've moved to daily to a college where, you know, metal's not exactly the soup du jour. But, you know, I mean, I'm just happy to do this. And, hey, you know, if it weren't for you, I would not have half my podcasts, like, literally. Like, you supported the Three Beards when I was on it. You let me post my Sensei Writer podcast when I have it. You know, like, I always appreciate it.
All right, enough of the mushy stuff. Are you ready to get this party started? Are you ready to get this party started, Robert Cooper?
But it's not on a Saturday night. Everybody's looking to me too. Right? Yeah, I actually know this song.
Good. Here we go. You're going to hear a lot of. Let me just say this right out there, and then I'll hit the play button. I swear to God. You're going to hear a lot of stuff from like the Pop Goes Punk albums.
Mm-hmm.
There's at least like 8 volumes of these. Not to mention the, you know, Punk Goes Metal, Punk Goes Acoustic, Punk Goes Crunk, Punk Goes Your Mother, Punk Goes to Chicago, whatever.
Punk takes his ball and goes home.
Yeah, exactly. Punk Goes to WrestleMania. You're going to hear a lot of that because I've been listening to a lot of that recently, and this is not like my top 10 favorite covers of all time. This is literally a snapshot of what I've been listening to lately, and it comes in waves. So before my wife, runs in here yelling that her water's broken, let's get this party started. All right, so why do you hate that song exactly? By the way, for those that don't know, that was Stretch Armstrong covering Ping's "Get This Party Started" from Punk Goes Pop Volume 1, I believe. Go ahead.
No, remember, I liked 2 of them just fine. One of them I was I actually hated, and the other one I was like, But this one I liked. Like, there was a little bit of chord in there, but it's fine. Like, this is what I imagine when you say Punk Goes Pop. Like, this sounds like a punk band covering a pop song, not what when we get into the middle of your list where it's some fucking pretty boy metalcore band covering pop music, and that's a fucking Punk Goes Pop. Fucking.
So stay tuned as Robert Cooper comes completely unglued due to my taste in music later on in the podcast.
No, I told my buddy Hunter, I'm like, you should listen to this because it's hilarious. Like, you stereotype, like, the older guy is the one being like, yeah, new music sucks. And the younger guy being, well, it's not that bad. It's the exact opposite. I'm just like, yeah, I'm not big on this new stuff. And you're like, but it's so much fun.
So when I initially got turned on to this particular Punk Goes Pop album, I believe I still had a friend that was working in the music industry. He was a salesperson for whatever record label was putting this out, I believe at the time. And he's my boy Chuck Ninesling. Shout out to him. And he, I remember he sent me a copy of it, and I called him up. I'm like, dude, that tribute you sent me. He was like, it's all about Stretch Armstrong, right? And I'm like, it is all about Stretch Armstrong. honestly, like I didn't get that deep into the first Punk Goes Pop. I was obsessed with that one song. I know.
It's in my head.
I mean, it's only like 2 minutes long, but I love bands that the thing about a cover is you can do a cover where you can hardly tell the difference between the original and the new one in the cover, and those are okay. I mean, sometimes, you know, even though you can hardly tell the difference, they're still fun to listen to. But I like it when a song is completely reimagined in a different style, and especially and this has all the elements that I like. It's fast, people are screaming, and it's just very it's very energetic. It's very frenetic. So, you know, I didn't get. Yeah, it really does. You know, this is a danceable number. But now we're going to go in a completely different direction here, and I'm going to throw it to Robert to sort of tell us about his first choice.
Yeah, that's another thing I noticed. I'm like, yeah, Mark's got a lot of, like, I have a few pop songs in mind, but mine's a lot more other metal genres playing other metal genres. Yeah, that really does bring us into the. Yeah, I mean that's kind of how I like it, but that really does bring into the first track that I have. If I'm not mistaken, it's Sabaton covering Amon Amarth's Twilight of the Thunder God off of the originally off of the Twilight of the Thunder God album, and this was on the Careless Rex album. I actually stumbled upon this when listening to the Careless Rex album on YouTube, and then I'm like, oh, this one on Spotify, so I listened to it, and I was blown away. Sabaton's one of those bands that they're kind of cartoony in how serious they are, and Amon Amarth's another band that, you know, we covered some Amon Amarth. I love Amon Amarth. But hearing them do Amon Amarth was one fitting, because Sabaton's very much about military and, you know, honor and blah, 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 you know. They're pretty entertaining, and hearing them do a song about...
and the blah, 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 yakety schmackety.
Exactly, yeah, all the yakety schmackety. They're hearing them do a song about, you know, Thor's fight against the Fenris twin and everything. It was something different, and I feel like it was covered pretty well. Like, there's towards the end, they actually do death growls, which I was impressed. But I feel like it's a really good meeting between you know, two genres. By the way, did you listen to any of my covers besides the one you already knew? That were on my list.
Well, I definitely listened to a few of them just to test the sound to make sure they worked. Some of them I already knew of. So but there'll be at least one or two surprises on here for me.
Oh, good. So I think
all right,
at least that's all I have to say at the moment.
All right, so let's hear it. We're going to hear a little piece here of Twilight of the Thunder God by Sabaton. So I think when I come back, we're going to add a third person to this podcast. We're going to give him a job, and that is our honorary producer, Jesse Starcher, because he always like Facebook bombs us during the show, and it's hilarious because he's got some fun comments, whatever. But I think my favorite thing is the pictures he puts up. For those of you playing the home game, dude just put up an old picture of Thor playing electric guitar. It's hilarious. I wish I had found that because I would have added it to the slideshow for tonight's podcast.
That's
fucking awesome. Jesse Starcher, we love you.
That's amazing. Yeah, listening to the song through, it really...
Hang on. Speaking of Jesse Starcher, 323-657-0901 if anyone wants to call in. Again, 323-657-0901. If you want to call in, just shoot the breeze, ask questions, request a song, tell a story, whatever. Go ahead.
It just made me really just realize how little you see crossover between power metal covering death metal. There's not two genres that usually meld as well as, let's say, a death metal band covering thrash metal or vice versa. It's always interesting to see how it's handled. And I feel like, I guess, Name on the Mars have enough little epic cheese in them to fit well with Sabaton. But it was a lot of epic cheese.
So where did you find that cover? Because I'm looking for it on Spotify and I can't find it.
It's not on Spotify. It's on YouTube. Yeah, I think it was included with the it was included with some version of the album, but it's not on Spotify, sadly. So if you want to listen to that whole album in Swedish, they have it.
Oh,
that was actually something. Yeah, because in their home country of Sweden, they released the entire album in Swedish. Everywhere else, it was American. Yeah, let me see if I can find where
Sabaton does a cover. I think Sabaton does a cover of "You're in the Army Now," and if
actually,
that's the case, I know.
Yeah, that was on that album.
Carolus Rex from 2012. I know what we're listening to the next time we do one of these.
We'll listen to that and In the Navy.
That's right. We're going to do an all-military version of a covers show. So when I was a kid, story time with Grandpa Radulich. When I was a kid, I lived first 12 years of my life. I lived in an all-black neighborhood. And we moved to the all-white neighborhood. And when we moved, I lived relatively close to what was then called the Sunrise Mall, before the one company bought up all the malls, and now they're all the same place. But this was the Sunrise Mall in Massapequa, Long Island, and it was close enough that I could ride my bike, and my grandparents actually lived around the block from the mall. So what I would do is I would ride my bike, park my bike in their backyard, and then hop the fence, and I'd be in the mall parking lot. That's where I had a lot of my early high school jobs. Like I worked at Burger King there. I was a lady shoe salesman. Go ahead, get your Al Bundy jokes out now. I actually did really good job with that. I was quite the salesperson. But I definitely worked my way through high school. I actually quit playing sports for a while just so I could focus on working and doing some other stuff. So but I remembered, back in the day, you kids don't know about this, but they used to have what they call cassette tapes. And
hey, I have those.
You would, you probably do, old man, but, for the kids out there, with the iPads and Zooms and whatnot.
I got those damn 45s.
I used to, I would get on my bike and I would ride, and I would have, my after-school job at Burger King. And the thing was, I would make a mix to kind of, listen to. It's terribly dangerous, by the way. I don't know if you've ever ridden your bike on main streets, trying to go somewhere while listening to a Walkman. You can't hear the traffic, right? So you're only dependent on your eyes. You lose one of your senses. But I would do that. I would put my Walkman on and I would ride my bike to my job. And I always had a mixtape sort of get me there and back again. And one of the songs that I would listen to over and over and over and over and over and over and over again was Whitesnake's "Here I Go Again." That, as far back as I can remember, that was my first walkout song. Okay, we all have a walkout song. If we ever end up in the UFC or the WWE or Remix Pro Wrestling, shout out, whatever thing you're walking out to, we all have a walkout song. And mine, when I was 13, 14 years old at the time, was "Here I Go Again" by Whitesnake. I've always been a huge Whitesnake fan, and I've often wondered, why don't more bands cover them? So I was quite perplexed when I finally saw a band cover Whitesnake. They covered "Still of the Night." Unfortunately, the band was Static X, and this was the silliest thing I've ever heard. I don't know if you've ever heard Static X's cover of "Still of the Night," but it's fucking terrible. Boy.
Oh, God. Mark said a cover is terrible? Oh, shit.
I mean, I own it. I put it on other mixes because I have a high tolerance for this sort of thing. Pain and bad covers, I can tolerate both. But, the Static X's in the "Still of the Night" is pretty silly sounding. So I was glad when Tarja left Nightwish and did a solo thing, and she covered "Still of the Night" and redeemed the song.
Around your door, in the still of the night, I feel my heart beating heavy, telling me I gotta have more. In the shadow of night, I see the full moon rise, telling me what's in store. My heart starts beating, my body starts shaking, and I can't take no more.
So that goes on for another 4.5 minutes. But I would never say that I don't like, growling, screamy death metal vocals, because I do, and that would be ridiculous to say otherwise. But when clean, operatic, pretty vocals are mixed with heavier than heavy guitar riffs and thunderous drums, that's probably my favorite combination of sounds.
Actually, I didn't listen to this cover because it wasn't on my Spotify. Bastards. I thought it was nice. The only thing I did have a problem with is that this is going to sound really, really nitpicky, but stick with me here. It was almost too clean for such a grungy song. That makes, her vocals were very, sound like it came straight out of a studio, and I expect "Still of the Night" to come out of the back of a crackhead ambulance. So, the two had a bit of a disconnect. But, it was still a good cover. I enjoyed it. It was just kind of bugging me. That's one of the things I find that some of those nitpicky. It's some people are like, man, this band sucks because they just sound so processed. Which, sometimes that is true. There are some bands that sound like they just came out of the fucking Star Wars prequels with how just sterile and clean everything is. But, this worked. I did like it. It's just there was a little too much sterile, but otherwise it's good. So I need to catch up on my Nightwish anyways. Oof.
Yes, you do. That was actually Tarja's solo album. It ended up being a bonus track, and the reason why it's not on your Spotify is because it's from it's from my library that I put into Spotify. So I have a question for you, and I'm a little curious as to your next pick here. Metallica, they love them some covers, and they certainly got a bunch. One of my favorites actually is their Tuesday's Gone. Awesome, amazing. But my question to you is, I figured between you and I, with the amount of music that we listen to and the amount of obscure bands we enjoy, there'd be a lot of deep cuts on here. So I was a little thrown off by one such Metallica selection. Not only did you go with a band that everybody knows, but you went with a cover that everybody knows. What say you, Robert Cooper?
Because I have a story to tell with it. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
it's story time with Robert. It's story time with Robert Cooper. Gather around, chillin'.
Oh yeah, oh boy. I mean, yeah, I chose the song because I knew it was the very, very obvious pick. But like getting into metal for me was, you had your Killswitch Engage, which that was my starting point, and then I got into your Metallica and your Megadeth. But I didn't really go much farther than that until I started getting deeper into those discographies and finding other genres. Megadeth Radio was a good iHeartRadio station that introduced me to bands like Death and Children of Bodom. But listening to stuff from their covers album really got me into the genres they were covering. Like, I didn't know who King Diamond or Merciful Fate was before I got into them. And, I got into some more Motorhead through them. And I especially got into some new wave of British heavy metal. And honestly, while I have argued this with my best friend Nick, I feel like Diamond Head's version is better. But this is probably one of the better covers I've heard, just because there's a lot of what made the original good, but it was changed just enough to where it was a Metallica song. It's a really good cover, and while it is kind of the usual thing for a cover stuff, I kind of felt like it was almost needed us to throw in, one or two of the typical songs. Because, poor Pat, he's going to be disappointed, but I took out No More Mr. Nice Guy, because while I'm a Megadeth fanboy, there's some deep cuts in here that I had to keep in. And everybody's heard No More Mr. Nice Guy. But, Am I Evil, it is kind of like their song. Like, they played it at all the big four festivals. Everybody came out. They've been playing it for a long, long time. But, it's still a great song. It holds up. And, overall, I feel like this is the quintessential Metallica cover for me. Because I think Tuesday's Gone was a solid cover. I think their best cover from Disc 1 was their Merciful Fate medley. Like, when Metallica does a medley, you are in for a treat. Like, I can't wait to hear their Dio medley on the Dio tribute album. Oh, it's going to be so good.
We are going to play a Dio cover later on. I will, probably.
Oh, boy.
Dio, yeah.
Oh, yeah, duh.
Fuck.
Holy Diver.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Duh.
Yeah, we're going to hear Dio later on.
I brain farted on my own pick.
Okay, so Am I Evil is Danzig or is it the Misfits?
What? No.
The original Am I Evil?
No.
Okay, so who does it originally? Diamond Head. Okay. Okay. So I thought this was either Glenn Dan. Actually, I thought it was a Misfits song, but who knows?
No.
We're
free. No way it could be 7 minutes long if it were.
Fair enough. Well, it could if it was Danzig. My God, have you heard some of those songs?
Yeah,
they're still going.
No, I'm talking Misfits.
Tell me how the God's Kill is still going.
Oh, I saw pictures of Mother, tell your children not to mock my way.
Yeah, he's falling apart, hasn't he? All right, so this is a Diamond Head's Am I Evil as covered by Metallica 50 years ago. One, I find it really funny that, because a cheap way to get an album out there and to make money off of rights you might have to something, or to put a sampler out there that people will want to then return and buy bands that you're putting out if you're an independent label, is to do tribute albums. And there's a lot of Metallica tribute albums out there. I happen to have one, it just reminded me of it, a punk tribute to Metallica, and there's this band called Sour, and it's all chicks, and they cover Am I Evil? And it's funny to me how, like, you see on some tribute albums, like, as made famous by, that line. I like how either people just don't know or they do know, but because it's like Metallica made a Diamond Head song famous, that now Metallica gets credit for it. And so when people are, covering Metallica, Am I Evil is one of the songs that they might cover as if it was their own. And I find that to be hilarious. But the other thing that I was thinking about while I was listening to this was like, when Sting was doing the black and white gimmick in WCW, and I think they started doing a sound-alike where it was Seek and Destroy. They missed an opportunity here. Should have been Am I Evil? I mean, he goes from colorful surfer Sting to gothic black and white crow Sting, and you didn't know what side is he on? That sort of thing.
What side is he on?
Fucking cracking people with bats. I mean, and that's such good walkout music right there. Am I Evil, right?
Oh yeah, totally. And I recommend you look up the original because I feel like it works better. Because I love young James Hetfield. That sounded really gay, but he had such fire and ferocity to him.
He's way too beautiful. That's why it'll never work. Sorry,
never work. So James will get really old, and he'll say, "Yeah."
By the way. Hang on. Fuck off, by the way, because you all fucking week because of you people. On Everybody Loves a Bad Guy, the Batman edition. I'm running around work yesterday as I'm trying to see suicidal inmates and shit, talking to the deputy, going, "Do you want to kill the Batman? It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be the Batman." And the hilarious thing about it was that the deputy, he's got kids too, and he's seen frozen a million times. He joined in. We were in the middle. You have to picture it. Big ass deputy, me, who's no small potato, surrounded by, infirmed inmates because we're in a medical bay, and we're both singing, "Do you want to kill the Batman? It doesn't have to be the Batman."
Oh, I was so proud of that podcast because, like I told Sean, he and him work together because he's serious yet silly, and I'm silly yet serious.
All right. I'm
yeah,
actually gonna.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Do you say anything?
I was just gonna finish with, like, the original. I feel like it works better because it's a much more it's closer to a power metal sort of thing. So I feel like it kind of flows better with the story. Like James is like, yeah. Like his is a little too harsh per se. I feel like the original fits better with the story, and it's actually a really nice contrast to the sound because they pretty much keep the heaviness of the original. But I feel like the original is better. But it is kind of weird that they've made this song so famous that most people don't realize that it's a cover.
All right, I have to go run and see what my daughter is screaming about. So we're gonna go ahead and play another one of Rob's tracks. And if Rob hadn't picked this one, I would have. This is Grave Worm doing Iron Maiden's "Fear of the Dark." So, and this will teach my daughter not to call up for her father for help. I put her to bed at like 8:30, right? And I said, look, she was like, she has her iPad all charged up. Yeah, she's 3 years old and she has an iPad. Welcome to the future of parenting. And
I don't have an iPad.
Well, you're not 3 years old now, are you? In any case, so she got her iPad. It's all charged up. And she was like, I want to watch TV before I go to bed. And I said, okay, well, you have a choice. You can either watch 10 to 15 minutes of whatever it is you want to watch. And, you know, YouTube, now that they've taken the time restrictions off things, will have just compilations of anything a kid could want to watch ever. Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, Barbie Life in the Dream House, Driver Dan, you name it, it's on there. Not to mention the old classic cartoons. There's like hours of compilations of this stuff on YouTube. So a lot of times she wants to watch something, I just put on YouTube for her. In any case, she was like, I want to watch Driver Dan. And I said, I haven't heard her want to watch Driver Dan in months. So I said, okay, fine. But if you're going to watch Driver Dan, then no story tonight. So either Daddy reads you a story or you get an extra 10, 15 minutes TV time. And she was like, no, Driver Dan. I'm like, all right. It's a good thing you're pretty. In any case, so I set it up for her, and about 11 minutes, I think it was the episode. And I said, when this is over, you're done. That was at 8:30. It is now 10 to 10, and about 10 minutes ago, I started to hear, Daddy, Daddy. This went on and on and on until I finally was like, all right, let me go see what she needs to know. And I put the song on. And I walk in and she's like, I want to watch Bobby now. I'm like, first of all, you should have been asleep an hour ago. Second of all, you ain't watching no Bobby. And I took the iPad from her and I said, look, I gave you extra TV time. It's time for you to go to sleep now. And I turned it off and she started crying. I'm like, don't you start crying on me. This is bullshit. See? So I don't think I said bullshit. I said, look, we made a deal. I've held up my end of the bargain. Now you hold up yours. Go to bed. And I said, give me big hugs and kisses because Daddy loves you. And she said, okay. And I'm like, no crying. There's no crying in deal making. There's no crying in let's make a deal. So so she sucked it up and now she's going to sleep.
She said, okay, bye.
Yeah, okay. And she does that. She'll totally. If you don't think 3-year-olds are manipulative, you've never been around like young kids. She'll totally do like the okay bye. Oh, dude, she got me once, man. When she was about a year ago. I'm leaving the room and she totally did the droopy sad face. Like I was like, it's time for bed, and she was like trying to play on my emotions, so she droopy sad faced and she cried, and it broke my heart. And I promptly shut the door because I work in a jail, and I know what she'll turn into if I don't do things like that. So, speaking of which, here's a Nirvana song by a band called Fear Factory called "School." You were saying, sir?
Oh, me?
Yeah. The other guy on the podcast.
Oh, good. Okay, because, I had a whole song to talk about there. Yeah, actually, that cover, as I told you, I originally thought it was Cradle of Filth, because in 9th grade, that's what my friend had it listed under, and that was my first taste of extreme metal. Like, I'd heard your occasional Metallica song or Pantera song, or like a few Anthrax songs, nothing that heavy. And what really drew me into it was was the bagpipes and the violins. I feel like that's always good. Like that's something that really will help people get into heavier genres if you give them something that has more melody to it. I mean melody, not breakdowns.
It's one of the reasons why I enjoy a lot of the European metal is because of the additional instrumentation, the flutes, bagpipes, whatever, full-on orchestras. I as I was saying before with the Tarja song, when you add those sort of those exterior elements to metal, I think it gives it much more dimension. Because as we talked about on this podcast before, there's always the danger of everything sounding alike. And so, if you can throw a flute in, triangle, pots and pans, something to differentiate yourself from the thousands of other bands that sound just like you.
Just put my pad in there.
I think you'll go a lot further in garnering fans.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And actually later in the song, there is I'm pretty sure it's a synthesized bagpipe. There's bagpipe solo, where there usually is a guitar solo, and it is just absolutely awesome. Like, I was listening to this song before my class, and then I listened to it like an hour later, and then I listened to it another hour later. I was just walking around just like, and everybody was turning around and staring at me. Actually, what got me in a lot of looks is when I was listening to Cannibal Corpse's cover of Metallica's No Remorse, and I was doing it a little louder than I thought, and everybody's just stopped and turning around and staring at me. I'm like, sorry, guys. Sorry. It's Cannibal Corpse. I can't
What's
not
wrong with
do
that white boy? What's wrong with that white boy?
They all know what's wrong with that white boy. At this point, most people in my classes have been around me long enough to know just let him do his thing and he'll stop.
If we ignore him, he'll go away.
Yeah, that Fear Factory cover it was pretty good. I don't know the original song, so it was good for what I heard. Never been big. I like Nirvana. I've just never been big on them. They're one of those bands, and I'm like, I think I have a lot of those bands, like the Beatles, and people are like, what? And I'm like, I just never got around to them. I mean, they're good. If I hear them, I don't turn them off. It's just like I don't go seek them out.
You know what's funny? That actually happened at work today. Oddly enough, the halls are painted. The halls and the walls are totally tall for sure. The walls at the jail are painted like this sort of puke, kill yourself yellow, and and in order to get around the jail, Master Control has to see you, recognize you, and let you into the next part of the jail, so as to make sure we don't have inmates running amok. So, unfortunately, we have hamsters running the board at times who don't understand the concept of follow the people as they walk through the hall so that you can open up doors in an appropriate time fashion and not when you fucking feel like it. So me and the maintenance guy are sitting waiting. They know we're leaving. They saw us leave. And we can't get him to open the door. And I sat there for a good 4 or 5 minutes, at which point I started singing Yellow Submarine.
Because you are in a Yellow Submarine at this point.
Yes, I have been known to break out into choruses of Yellow Submarine while at work. And the point of all of this, because you were saying, sometimes you just, of a band, but you don't really know them. I'm sitting there going, we all live in a Yellow Submarine, and then I would hit the wall. The guy's looking at me like, I don't know what you're doing. Are you just making up shit? Oh, you're breaking my heart, man. I'm like, it's the Beatles. He was like, fucking, how old do you think I am? Like, all right, whatevs.
Yeah,
apparently Jesse Starcher's no fan of the Beatles. Goodness gracious. My wife will plot. She loves the Beatles. But she also loves Sister Halo, so what does she know?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, they're a good band. It's just there's so many bands for me to listen to. Well, taking time to listen to the Beatles when I could be listening to, when I can finally catch up on Amon Amarth's discography. Priorities, man. I downloaded the Cowboy Bebop soundtrack, and I know you don't like anime, but it is a ton of jazz and some swing, a little Native American flair for some good measure. It is absolutely stupendous.
That's what I used to like about old, like late Sepultura, when Max was still in the band, is when they started incorporating a lot of Brazilian tribal beats and elements into the music. I thought they were a real standout. Yeah. Any thoughts on "School" by Fear Factory? It's like a 2-minute song, and it's just straight up mosh.
Yeah.
It's one of those songs where Fear Factory doesn't just sound like ambient fucking metal crossed with elevator music.
No, I know some metal crossed with elevator music, and I like some of it. That album they had Gene Hoglan on, they sounded awesome. What was that, Mechanize? No, it wasn't Mechanize. I think it was Mechanize. No. The Demanufacturer, maybe. I don't know. Let me look at it. But yeah, that album, they sounded pretty damn awesome, because that was right before this new album where they got that damn drum machine.
Mm-hmm.
Drum machine. Are you kidding me? But, it was solid. I'm not a big Fear Factory guy. I'm not a big Beatles guy, but it was good for what it was. Yeah, it was Mechanized. I like that they at least had a really awesome drum section in that.
So if you go on Spotify and you put in Michael Jackson tribute, right, you will find 1,000 tributes. But more specifically, there's a metal tribute to Michael Jackson, and it's a lot of amalgamations of like different bands and stuff. I think that there was like a re-recording of Alien Ant Farm, and then it's like different guys from like different bands.
We got Fozzy. Yeah, I didn't know you had Fozzy. Dirty Diana.
I'm trying to find the one. I'm trying to find it now. As a matter of fact, there's a bunch of good ones on there, but the one in particular, and I was gonna put it on here, but it's just after a while, we're gonna be here all night if I put on every single one that I wanted to think about. So I'll have to do it for the next time around. But there was one of the guys from Fishbone who did a cover of The Way You Make Me Feel. Yeah, and I love the way he does it. It's here we go. Metal. Okay, so you pulled. Good. This will be a nice segue. So it's which one? The Way You Make Me Feel. Yeah, Angela Moore, Fishbone, Doug Aldrich, et cetera, et cetera. And it's got on here Chris Jericho does Dirty Diana, Icarus Witch, They Don't Care About Us, Alien Ant Farm re-recorded Smooth Criminal. Chuck Billy of Testament doing Thriller. What made you decide to go with this one as opposed to all the other options on this tribute album?
It's the one song that I knew, and it's not amazing.
Hold on. That's the one song you need. Dude, Beat It, Billie Jean.
No, I'm talking
Rock With You?
talking that I know. No, let me finish. That I've heard of this tribute album.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
No, I know more Michael Jackson than Thriller. Jesus. No, this is just the one that I knew, and I think it's pretty fun. Chuck Billy's just doing his Chuck Billy thing. He's getting kind of old, so he can't do too much. But it's fun. I think Craig Goldie of Dio is on guitar too. But, it's a pretty fun little cover. I just wanted to include it in there just because I know my pop music quota is not nearly as high as yours. But I knew it would be it would at least be a fun thing to throw in there.
Well, my favorite one on here is The Way You Make Me Feel, especially just because the way Angela Moore, it's like, damn girl, boy. The way he does it is really funny. But I might have to find it anyway. It's fucking hilarious. It's like, damn girl, look at you with your fine. What are you doing, Angelo? But from the very same tribute, from the very same album, here is Chuck Billy of Testament doing Michael Jackson's Thriller.
It's close to midnight. It's something evil's lurking in the dark. free. And woman looks you right between the eyes. You're still alive. 'Cause it's a thriller night. And no one's gonna save you from the beast about to strike. You know it's thriller night. You're fighting for your life inside a killer thriller tonight. You hear the door slam and realize there's nowhere left to run. You feel the cold hands and wonder if you'll ever see the sun. You close your eyes and hope that this is just imagination. But all the while, you hear the creature creeping up behind. You're out of time, 'cause this is thriller night. There ain't no second chance against the thing with 40 eyes. You know it's thriller night. You're fighting for your life inside a killer thriller tonight.
All right. Not exactly the Last Testament album, but still good.
I mean, it was fun. Like I didn't. It was not the Last Testament album. It was something. I mean, it was. I figure it was a fun little novelty to throw in there. I mean, sometimes that's all you need for a good cover. Just a little fun novelty.
Who are you telling? I am the king of novelty covers.
You own the 10,000 versions of the George Foreman grill. That's how much you love novelty.
Thank you for not putting on The Bird is the Word by Sodom. Because as much as I love the fucking Surfing Bird song, that is a terrible cover. I mean, like...
Oh, I love that. I love that cover.
It's too fast. The song completely loses its meaning because it's too fast.
And you know what's funny? They did it like 5 years before Family Guy knew what it was. That's the best part. It came off the 2001 album.
That is still one of the funniest Family Guy bits I've ever seen. I remember that episode. I was dying laughing.
I'm so tired of that song, though. You guys got so overdone.
Real quick, just because Jesse Stark just threw it up there. Rain Time does a really, really good cover of Beat It. There's a couple of good ones. I think, what's the name of the emo band? Are you laughing at the picture? I don't get it. Who's that supposed to be?
It's Chuck Billy.
Oh, is that what that is? Nice.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah, it's Chuck Billy. They just kept Michael's hair.
Fantastic. Good stuff there. Fall Out Boy. Yeah, Fall Out Boy I think also does a cover of Beat It that's pretty good if you don't mind Fall Out Boy, which I don't. I've actually seen them live.
It was actually kind of fun.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, so a couple years ago, there was a all-metal tribute to Guns N' Roses, another one that there's like 60,000 tributes of. This is titled "Bring You to Your Knees," and it had a bunch of popular metal bands of the time on there. This is the one that always stood out to me. For whatever reason, just the speed, the tempo of the song, the way that they altered it. It's one of my favorites, and to this day, it's one of those songs I like to listen to when I'm driving, especially. It's one of those ones that wakes me up when I'm a little sleepy on the road. This is God Forbid's version of "Out to Get Me."
know what you're doing. That's when you trouble the shame. They put me in a corner just to get me to fight. They won't touch me. They preach to you and fight all night. You can't tell me. I lose my head. I close my eyes. They won't touch me. 'Cause I got something I've been building up inside. I'm already gone. They're out to get me. They won't catch me. I'm fucking innocent. They won't break me.
So yeah, I mean, it's just straight up rock, you know, just screaming it out there, belting it out. Good shit. Best, in my opinion, from what I remember of that, from what I remember that tribute, it's the best song on the album.
Yeah, plenty of fun. I don't have much more to say about it because I don't know either version of the song very well.
Do you not know your Guns N' Roses very well?
Nope. Another band that I've heard, like a lot of the bigger bands, like Guns N' Roses, I get a lot of shit, but VH1 has made them and put them overrated in the overrated category for me because while it was not around at the time, their claims of Welcome to the Jungle is the second best metal song of all time and the best hard rock song of all time makes me very, very cranky. Yeah, I know Appetite and Destruction is like a tour de fucking force and all, but beyond that and some of the stuff off their second album, what else have they done? Like some good covers.
They're one of the greatest rock bands in the history of modern music.
They got like two albums.
So when I come back from the Jonas Exodus, and we're not reviewing, and we're not like going back through a stockpile of albums that have come out that we need to review, guess what we're doing now?
Oh, God damn it. I don't want to hear Axl Rose slowly descend into a midlife crisis.
You need to go to summer school, my friend. You need to understand that Guns N' Roses, you need to go to Mark's Metal Summer School. You need to understand that Guns N' Roses is a fantastic band that went completely off the rails.
Well, see, that's kind of the part that I know is they went off the rails.
But before they went off the rails, they were amazing.
Well, I mean, I'm not arguing that part. I'm just kind of arguing that I feel like the went off the rails part dominated more of their career than the they were fucking great part.
Oh, that's because you're like 12 years old. You got to understand. If you grew up, when I grew up, you would have seen, because by the time that they went off the rails, I was already over Guns N' Roses and moving on to other stuff. So you have to have been around, you know, in the heyday of Appetite for Destruction, and then the Use Your Illusions 1 and 2. My God, it was, you know, it just changed music. It was these were like damn near perfect albums. And yes, what follows the Use Your Illusions is not so good, but those three albums, man, and then you've got the Lies EP. I mean, it's amazing stuff, and it definitely deserves a lot. It deserves its due.
I'll give it a shot.
Jesse just sent me a message. It was before your time.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, before. I mean, it was before my time. I think maybe that's my problem because what I know about them is that Axl Rose is a total asshole, and Chinese Democracy took like 10 times longer than it should have and didn't really pay off. I mean,
But I remember when they released Chinese Democracy on MySpace. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
And,
I remember that.
And I remember listening to it in my apartment. I just left my first wife, hanging out in my apartment. And I'm like, oh, my God, at least there's one good thing in my life. Guns N' Roses finally put out Chinese Democracy. Boy, was I wrong.
Yeah, I mean, no, I don't. Maybe I'm a little too. I guess I'm just kind of harsh on them because I'm so tired about hearing about them because I wasn't around till their heyday. I mean, I kind of put them with like Nirvana, where I know they're important. It's just shut the fuck up about them, please. Not you, VH1. That was when VH1 talked about music. Like, dude, true
right,
story,
so,
when I got into metal, I thought their top 40 metal songs of all time was like the gospel. And now that I know things about metal, their list is a joke. They have Slipknot at 36.
All right, so I'm telling you right now, man, when I come back from the Jonas Exodus, at some point this year, Guns N' Roses retrospective, get ready. You're going to get your learn on. And in the meantime...
hey, there's not that many albums to listen to.
No, but there's going to be a lot of songs. Because they're so good. All right. Hey, I'm back from the Jonas Exodus. Yeah, I'm not doing podcasts with you anymore. Oh.
Yeah, too many Japanese Power Ranger shows to talk about. Yeah, no time.
All right. So this is next one's Coop's pick. We're back on track here, more or less. So did you pick the live version of this or the studio version?
Studio. I've not heard the live version. I'm assuming it's 10,000 times better.
Try 100,000 times better than the studio version. It's a little bit faster, and then at the end it goes, what is it? Shit. At the end whatever city they're in at the time, he's like, oh, damn it. Oh, now I forget. Yeah. No, he's like, I can't remember the name of the city now. But I don't know. Mexico City, we love you. See ya. It's so cool the way he yells it. But yeah, the live version of Sepultura's Orgasmatron is amazing. The studio version is too slow for me. So let's hear it.
I mean, I just...
I once used Orgasmatron as a monologue for a drama class in college.
You are my hero. You are a saint and a fucking scholar, sir. That is absolutely wonderful.
Want to know why?
Sure.
It was, I basically botched an assignment because I overslept. Yeah, my first year at college was not so productive. But so I botched an assignment, and I had to redeem myself quickly, and the next thing was you had to have a monologue fully memorized for the next class. I to this day I still have a very terrible memory. It takes me a long time to memorize stuff. So, and I wasn't prepared for class. Someone told me, like, hey, you have to have a monologue prepared for next class. Oh, I sure shit wasn't going to be able to memorize anything, but I knew every word to that song. Okay, I had listened to it so many. Barcelona, that's it. Barcelona, we love you. See ya. Anyway, so I've heard the live version of Sepultura covering Motorhead's Orgasmatron so many times. I had every word of that song memorized. So since no one fucking knew what it was, I was like, oh, I can get away with this. So I actually performed Orgasmatron as a monologue and had to act it out and everything.
So good. Oh, man. That's so amazing. Like, true story, this is going to... I actually, I've written 2 papers about metal. One was arguing whether Metallica sold out or not, and the sources were just bullshit articles I could find. I just threw them in there, and I was like, yeah, whatever, she's not going to know. And then the other one was about actually, it talks about how metal helped recode the national sound of Brazil after their communist regime in the 80s. Pretty cool. Oh, Orgasm. I mean, that's just so cool. Actually, if you want to hear a cool Sepultura song, I think it was when Max was doing Soulfly. They recovered Refuse Resist. And the first minute and a half is just like tribal shit. And then they play Refuse Resist at like triple speed. And like, it's a breakup, but so it's just like, fuck shit up. So great. Ugh.
There's a live version of A Shogun Named Marcus with Neil Fallon playing with Sepultura.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I tend to not favor a lot of live stuff because the sound quality is for shit. I mean, if you can get a decent one going, it's fine. Like, if you don't realize it's live until the end when people start clapping, I think that's fine. But I find that a lot of live covers, recorded live covers, are not so great. All right, so Cooper, you're a young dude. I don't know if you. I don't remember when you said you were born, and maybe like I think
91.
Like it was 91. So mid to late 90s. You just still been in elementary school. You might even be a tween when this was starting to get popular. I don't know if you got dragged to a lot. I don't know if you got dragged to a lot of weddings during that time. But do you remember a little line dance called the Macarena?
Dude, when I was listening to this, like it started and I was looking around, I was so confused. I was like, what's going on? And then I looked, it was Brujeria doing marijuana. And I was like, this is amazing. I am in love with this now, and I will play this in places where people will not expect it, and I will get away with it because I still don't know what the song is saying.
I remember the summer that my buddy Pete like bought DJ equipment for all the parties that we were going to that summer. Like my college and grad school years, there was always somebody was always throwing a house party or a barbecue or some shit going on, and I remember for years up to that point, we'd always want to take control of the music because people's taste in music sucks. So me and Pete would always play this, and we would just fucking just run roughshod over the host and take control over their stereo. We were like, well, there's got to be a better way to do this. So Pete bought a bunch of DJ equipment, and we're like, we'll just offer to DJ people's parties. That way we can control the music. And that was the summer of marijuana. Not the drug, the song. Because we would play this, and people would hear those familiar opening beats, and they would do the Macarena, and we would laugh hysterically because nobody cared that it was this particular song. really want to.
Did people ever figure it out?
Nobody cared. They heard what sounded like the Macarena. They realized, people weren't dumb. They knew that it was, they could hear clearly, if they didn't get any other part of the song, they could clearly hear the band saying marijuana, and they thought it was funny, and it became like the big hit of the summer. That got requested everywhere we went.
And then later in the song, they're like, Brujeria, marijuana.
No, nobody gave a shit who it was.
Well, no,
Brujeria. Brujeria, for like a gimmick band, no one outside of like very small metal circles would have known who the hell they were, other than like that song, which was brilliant. By the way,
they're lots of fun. Like when I was in Spanish class, they're one of the few bands that would pop up. Like, this band, and I think the other one was Osamenta. Like Osamenta, they were fucking awesome. Like they were nuts. And I would play them in I'd be listening to them in the middle of Spanish class, and my teacher's like, "What are you listening to?" I'm like, "Oh, it's fucking Spanish metal band." She's like, "Oh, okay," because most of the metal bands from South America are from Brazil. that is.
Brujeria was a gimmick band, right? That they weren't other than maybe the one guy from Fear Factory, but that they weren't real Mexicans. That was a joke.
But they sang in Spanish.
They do sing in Spanish. That is true.
Well, see, that's
Brujeria shit's all in Spanish. It's like they're not like real Mexicans though. It's a gimmick.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but I just looked at the Spanish aspect because it's very hard to find. It is very hard to find metal from Mexican countries and ones that are in Spanish. There was actually one really cool, sounded like a 90s satanic death metal band from Mexico, and I can't remember who they were, what their name was. And there was another band called Voltax that are a power metal band, but pretty much it's very hard to find Mexican bands because most of them just sing English because you'll find a lot of Portuguese.
So the original formation of Brujeria consisted of Dino Cazares from Fear Factory, Jello Biafra, Pat Hoed, and Billy Gould.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. Touché.
Mike, there's a reunion that as of February 4, 2014, the new Brujeria album has still not been released. But there might be a new Brujeria album. Hot damn.
I know what we're going to review.
It's going to be fantastic.
I hope you like weed jokes.
There's another band that's releasing an album this year. I saw it earlier, and I got all excited, and now I don't remember who they were. Good shit, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to think because I'm actually behind on my metal. I am the worst metalhead ever. I have not looked at the news though. In the news, the singer Guar died.
Oh,
very,
Hell
very
Yeah,
sad.
that's who it was. Now I remember. Yeah, when Hell Yeah comes out with their album, I want to review that too. I love Hell Yeah. But
that's gonna be fun. That is gonna be fun because that is like Southern fried bro metal.
That's right. Return of the bro metal. So here's a band that's not bro metal at all. I'm going to throw it to you. I've been talking a lot on this podcast, this Party Down podcast.
Okay,
I'm going to throw it to you, Robert Cooper. Why don't you introduce the next song?
Oh, are we looking at Party All the Time?
We are looking at Party All the Time.
Oh, fuck yes. Anybody who's been listening to this kind of knows how I am. Like, I have a very weird taste in music when it doesn't come to metal. Like, I love fucking Japanese rock music, and I like jazz and blues and the occasional pop song, and a few novelty songs of my own. And one of those is the incredibly shitty yet incredibly catchy song by by America's very own Eddie Murphy, "Party All the Time," which featured Rick James in the video. Like, I don't think he got that his music career was not very serious, but that song is awesome. And you do not know how fucking happy I was when I found out Children of Bodom covered it, because I know they covered "Hit Me Baby One More Time," but honestly I don't like the cover very much. because it just feels like a shitty. It sounds like an improved version of a shitty song, but it doesn't really help. It doesn't fit for me.
The next time we do this, I'll be the one cover of Children of Bodom I really like is Jesse's Girl. But it's not one you hear a lot covered.
Dude,
but,
that one is so much fun.
It really is.
I had Jesse's Girl.
It's so great.
They have such fun covers.
They really do.
They're fighting over them.
No, I mean, I haven't been listening to a lot of Children of Bodom lately, so I had actually forgotten it. So I'm kind of glad you picked it, and I'm glad you picked an obscure one. So here's Children of Bodom covering "Party All the Time." All right, we got our first caller of the night. You ready, Mr. Robert Cooper?
I'm ready, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle it.
Well, you better be able to handle it, because here he is, the honorary Metal Hammer of Doom producer, king of 1,020 pictures, Mr. Jesse Starcher, straight out of Ohio.
What's up, guys?
What's going on, Jesse?
Oh, man, I'm glad to be catching the last show right before the Jonas Exodus. Excitement is in the air. Unbelievable. Well, I can tell you right now, the covers, half of these, okay, I haven't ever heard of. The bands I've never heard of, I can tell you that much.
Oh, wow.
But I mean, well, you go Metallica, obviously I've heard of them. You know, they're no Guns N' Roses, but hey. But going to summer school there, Coop. But anyway, yeah, it's I'm enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. So
yeah, we'll just
I picked one.
Stories and shit.
Oh yeah. I picked one, and I figured it would be fitting for some of the more recent events that have occurred relating to the Radulich and Broadcasting Network. And I'm sure that many people are aware of the disarmament that occurred. So I thought nuclear, that kind of had me, looking for a song. And then I was like, man, what song would fit? That and the fact that Mr. Radulich, the mandated reporter, is going to be leaving us. And probably less than half. Well, you got Coop's plug, so it might be about 45 minutes. But so I found one online that I sent over to you, and I figured that if you can get it to play, great. Hopefully you won't have any problems. And I can tell you right now, I've never heard of the band Affiance. Is that a metal band that you're aware of at all, Coop, or is it a metal band at all?
Was it like Defiance, but instead of
not
D,
Defiance, Affiance.
Affiance, okay. So far, Metal Archives has nothing. So.
Oh well, I'm gonna be really sad if they're. Now I've listened to the song. It feels metal to me.
Okay, Affiance band. Oh God.
Well, Cooper, if they're not on your radar, man.
No.
I won't call them a metal band then.
Well, we'll see. Just when we hear the song, I will tell you what I think.
All right.
There's
More welcome to play at any time there, Mark.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it to process at this point.
Okay,
so,
cool.
It should be up any minute now. But there's a couple of versions of the Final Countdown done by metal bands. I'm gonna kill some time here and see what Spotify's got. Track the Final Countdown. Dude, there's one by Leibach. Hot damn. Okay, Coop, remember this for the next time that we do. A covers one, that I have to play Jesus Christ Superstar by Leibach.
Leibach?
Yes. Jesus Christ Superstar by Leibach. Children of Bodom actually do the Final Countdown. Leibach, which if you've never heard Leibach,
I can tell you right now, I've never heard of Leibach. Now, when I saw them on Spotify, it looked like they had some albums like from back in the early 90s. Is that right?
Yeah, Leibach is, if you were into the goth industrial scene, like I know you were, Jesse Starcher, with the black makeup around your eyes. Leibach was from that era, and it's the typical like very baritone goth sounding music. I wasn't really into the band, but they do an awesome cover of Jesus Christ Superstar, which when I worked for XPW back in the day, and we put out a guy whose name was the Messiah. I was the one that came up with his music, not his very first music because they didn't have the record with them. So he ended up coming out to Angel of Death out in Ventura, California. But when we got him situated, we got him proper. The Messiah, his entrance music, his walkout music was Jesus Christ Superstar by Leibach. You're welcome,
nice.
Everyone.
Very nice.
All right.
Very nice.
So this is a bit of a mystery here. We're gonna go ahead and hear Jesse Starcher's request. This is Affiance covering Europe's The Final Countdown. not bad. Not a bad choice there, Jesse.
No, hey, I think it fits. I mean, is the baby crowning yet?
We're not quite there, but
not quite there.
I will tell you. As I kept saying there yesterday, I said I feel like any moment now with the way you're talking, Jonas is just going to reach his hand out and wave to us.
I'm on my way.
Let's talk intimately about my wife's uterus. Okay, so my kid's head is stuck promptly nestled, you might say, against her pelvic bone, making it increasingly difficult for her to walk.
Oh, man.
And now, I don't want to work blue. You know, this is a clean podcast and all, but I will tell you, when I called to check on her today, she told me that she felt gooey. She felt icky. She's feeling a little moist. And I remember Jesse's got like a zillion kids. He knows what I'm talking about. Right, Jesse?
Yeah, I've got 3, and let's just say we were stopping at 2, and number 3 was quite the surprise.
Yeah, that happened in my family.
But yes, as for this whole the whole gooiness stuff that you're talking about, man, this last one that we had, I can remember, you know, my wife waking me up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, just go back to bed. I don't give a crap what's going on until we got to get in the car and go about 70 to the hospital. I said, so just wake me when, you know, stuff starts poking out. So, you know, just, but yeah, I mean, I totally understand where you're coming from. They're, you know, the women are going to let you know in no uncertain terms what exactly is going on. So that's as far as it went. Is she starting to feel contractions or anything?
I think, well, she's asleep now, so I'm going to go with no. But
okay.
I think she said she started to feel some contractions a little bit earlier, but then nothing. Like, you know, occasionally she's complained of, like, Braxton Hicks, but, you know, so I wouldn't tell you, we're not in active labor. I mean, it's kind of sort of fun to joke about, but it's like everything is getting, this is like the Undertaker's walkout, okay? You know, we're up to the point now where the bunks are lining up with torches. Okay, it's gonna happen. The man's coming. I promise you, he's coming out. But we're not quite there yet. So the organ music is playing, but we're not quite there. I remember really quick story, and then I'm gonna play some Napalm Death because that's what you play when you're talking about childbirth. I remember when Lily was born, I was actively working out and dieting at the time, and I was working out like 3 times a day. So I'd work out, I'd run at work, and then I would run when I got home, and then before I went to bed, I would do like something on the Connect for like a final workout of the night after dinner. Yeah, I was really crazy at the time. I was just working out constantly. And I'm in the middle of my workout on the Connect, and my wife calls me. She's like, I'm no expert. This is our first baby, but I think my water just broke. And I'm like, all right, what do you want me to do here? You know, like my wife, we're not really panicky people, and we're planners. So we already have bags packed. We have a plan in place, you know, and everything. You know, we don't have any other kids at this point, so it's just the 2 of us. You know, we know what we're going to do with the dogs that we had at the time. So it's like, you know, so this isn't one of these things where we're running all over the place, you know, all Marx Brothers style. We're like, you know, we're like intellectuals. We're like, well, what do you think we should do? You know, that sort of thing. She's like, well, I think my water just. She's like, I think my water just broke, so I'm gonna go take a shower, and then when I get out of the shower, I'm gonna call our doctor and let her guide us. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go back and continue working out. Let me know when you need me to drive you to the hospital. Literally, that's how that.
Are you kidding me? It works like that?
Yeah, man. And she was like, all right, do your thing, man. You know, she was supportive. She was like, go finish your workout because I don't know what we're doing yet. Labor and like labor and child delivery, I mean, it seems like it should be like a panicky situation, but first of all, unless you're in one of those weird situations where the kid really is going to come fast, it's not like it's in the movies where like, oh, my water broke and here comes the kid down the water slide. You know, it isn't like that. there's a whole setup and process to it, and I think Jesse will tell you it takes forever. And for those of you who have not had this experience yet, if your woman has to get the Pitocin, not the potato, the Pitocin, are you in for a treat? Hours of agony as this medication will force them to have contractions. That is the worst thing my wife. Oh yeah, because like I said, your water can break. I feel like I sound like I'm a fucking expert in this, but your water can break. Like Robert Cooper's water could break. If you're a girl, your water could break, and you won't have contractions necessarily. It might be hours before you'll actually start to have contractions and the baby will come. That's why you don't go fucking running out of the house, leaving holes in the wall and whatever. You take things slow. Right, Jesse?
Indeed, I agree 100%.
All right.
Remember when this was a metal podcast?
All right. For Robert Cooper, who does not relate, let's hear some Nazi Punk's "Fuck Off" by Napalm Death. That song's a minute and 30 seconds. I literally can only play 45 seconds of it, or, without having to pay for a BMI ASCAP. But that was from the Alternative Tentacles tribute album to the Dead Kennedys, of which Jello Biafra used to be the singer of. It's on my list of many walkout songs. All right, just because we got about 11 minutes left of live time, and then we're going to move into the recorded portion of this podcast, I'm going to throw it over to you, Coop. It looks like we got one of your favorite bands here, a band that you did a retrospective of. Tell me about it.
Yeah, a one-man retrospective. I was still impressed at that because fucking Blog Talk wouldn't process the music. First 20 minutes of that was me like, all right, okay. I mean, I can stall forever, but come on, guys. But yeah, I mean, Death. If you've listened to that retrospective, you know the depths of my love and admiration for Chuck Schuldiner and his band. And this is actually, I think some people consider it the lesser of their two covers because they really know the Painkiller cover really well. And the Painkiller cover is great. But this one, I just kind of feel like I like it more. Maybe it's because I'm a bigger Priest fan than I'm a Kiss fan. I like Kiss, but God, I'm going to sound like an idiot. But I know their hits and I know a few deep cuts, but I never really dug really deep into their discography. It's a big problem with me. But then again, it's because I try to listen to 150 albums a year, so priorities. Yeah, this cover is really, really pretty awesome because they take a pretty good song that was, pretty heavy for the era, I'd say so, and just make it a little heavier, and it's still really catchy and memorable, and it is great when you're walking down the halls of your HBCU screaming, God of Thunder. It's so good, and everybody's looking at you like you just stabbed a puppy. I don't know what I got weirder looks doing that, or that time there was a stray cat on campus, and I became best friends with it for a day.
That reminds me, your cat hasn't shown up tonight, has it?
No, Boo's in here. He's just been kind of chilling.
What is your cat's name, by the way? I've always wondered. I always hear you. I know it's either damn cat or fucking cat, but I've never heard the actual name.
Well, usually it's not him, but the one that lives in my room is named Boo Boo.
Okay, all right.
Because we named him, originally I named him Tommy because I like Power Rangers. And my mom says that's a stupid kitten name, so they named him Boo Boo because they couldn't name him after Chicken Boo because they was going to name him Shittin' Boo because he would take a shit and walk through it because he's stupid. Yeah, so he thinks boo-boo. But no, usually
can
the ones that are
Can we go
damn
back?
cat...
Wait a second. Wait, stop. Did you say your cat's name is Tommy? Like Tommy? Tommy the cat?
Tommy. Yeah.
The Primus song?
Tommy the cat.
No, like Tommy, the Green Ranger from Power Rangers.
No,
And
I
White
decided
Ranger.
that you named your song Tommy the Cat.
Okay. I mean, hey, that'll work. You know, we could, you can retroactively, you can do some retroactive continuity here. You can just be like, yeah, you know, like at a young age, the young Robert Cooper was like, you know, this band that I've never heard of and I won't hear for 10 years. Totally naming a song after them. Totally naming a cat after their song. Yeah, I mean, that's how it works. But no, usually Damn Cat or Fucking Cat is Speedy or Surper, because they're usually at my door trying to break it down because they want in. Because, like, there's a free supply of food here, and, like, nobody's going to bother them. So they love it. But usually Damn Cat or Fucking Cat, that's usually...
Damn Cat, Fucking Cat.
Like, not for nothing,
yeah.
but it's usually chicks who are, like, old cat ladies. I've never seen an old cat dude.
Yeah.
That's what you're starting to sound like, Mr. Cooper. You're an old cat dude.
Well, see, I don't know whether it's slightly charming or slightly disturbing. But yeah, well, see, usually when I walk into my house, I look at my cats, I'm like, shut up, you fat fucking bastard. Like, I call them that every day. Like, yeah, like we have one outdoor cat. I'm like, I call me fat fuck, like every day. Because he's fat. He looks like a basketball. And I'll be walking out my house, just be like, just 4-letter words flying everywhere. And I don't care. I wish you were a bigger fan of No Effects, because now I have a picture of you running through your house going, how did the cat get so fat? See, now I'm gonna have to look up the song. No, I mean that's how I show love for people. Like I call one of my friends a bitch monkey every time I talk to him because it's funny. And because Sammer and Lambert, that's the one thing they've taught me is that what was it? The Shamrock called Tito a bitch monkey.
All right, so
hey man, I'm glad I got the origin story of the cats. That's actually what I called in for today.
Oh, fantastic!
You sly bastard.
Okay, once again, before we run out of live time, here is Death covering Kiss's God of Thunder. For some odd reason now, because like Pat has done cosplay as Thor, that's what I picture him walking out to, which doesn't really go with the gimmick though, because he's totally 80s Pat Mullen.
You could play him the Kiss version. Duh.
I suppose.
That was some heavy shit.
All right.
Yeah, I love that cover of it. I think it's because like it's less about the main riff and just more the fact that the backbeat is so heavy. There's like a fucking a drill attached to a backhoe.
I guess
you're
done.
Now we're moving into the part I've been looking most forward to in this podcast. With 4 minutes and 30 seconds left of live time, we're moving back into the punk goes pop portion of our podcast. I'm actually going to switch things up here, okay? because I don't want to run out of time before I play this song, so I'm going to switch up the order. Okay? First one actually comes from the Punk Goes Crunk compilation, and I'm telling you right now, this might be like every podcast I do when I come back. This is what we might be opening up with. Okay, this is the new Metal Hammer of Doom theme. This doesn't get you amped up and hyped. You're clearly dead inside. This is Put Your Hood Up by Set Your Goals.
Out in the wild, we have the dinosaurs. Let's listen very carefully.
Yo, what's up? XYG 2008, Orinda, Moraga, Pleasant Hill, Crescent Drive, New Fair Glory, Yoda, Calaveras House, Creekside, Century Movie Theater, bitch, Obi-Wan, Lightsabers, Time Valley Gym, Dodgeball, Santa, Halo 3, that's all gold, motherfucker! Put your hood up, put your hood up, put your hood up, put your flick up, put your flick up, put your flick up, put your flick up, represent your shit, motherfucker! Represent your shit, motherfucker! Represent your flick, motherfucker! Represent your flick, motherfucker! Take your drink out, I'll straight the motherfucking crowd. Take your drink out, I'll straight the motherfucking crowd. Or don't flick up, I say it motherfucking out loud. Don't flick up, I say it motherfucking out loud. You pose on 'em and get fucked ass wild. Don't you pose on 'em and get fucked ass wild. Put the ass up, represent black and fucking black is fucking wild up. Represent black and fucking wild. Kyle, East Bay Jedi, don't give a fuck. One West Bay Jedi, is quick to fuck. One North Bay Jedi will cut you up. And the South Bay Jedi will put you in a trap. Jump, 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 take up, stop, 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 kill that. Jump, 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 kill that. Stop, 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 and kill. Hood up, put your hood up, put your hood up, put your hood up, put your flick up, put your flick up, put your flick up, put your flick up. Represent your shit, motherfucker. Represent your shit, motherfucker. Represent your flick, motherfucker. Represent your flick, motherfucker.
I love that song. Come on, represent your shit, motherfucker.
Fuck.
Coop, I could tell Coop was probably just shaking, listening to it. I mean,
I
he's
face
Oh,
palm.
yeah, dude.
I literally
big
face
bong.
palm.
Dude, Robert Cooper was totally throwing up his set. Yeah.
No, I was
Yeah.
throwing up a few other things.
I
Oh,
guarantee, or at least I could put money on it that if you play that song at college, Coop, you might get a few more friends.
Yeah.
Fuck it. You know, I
I
can
think-
make plenty of friends.
All right then.
I mean, hey, I could
think
pull
you
out
could-
some. I got some rap metal. You know, I could pull out some fucking Stug Mojo. That's cool. I can
Dude,
put,
that's
put
a
your
cover
hood.
of Little John. No, you're not understanding what Jesse's trying to tell you, you see. You need to get on your bicycle. You need to put a boombox strapped to the back of it, and you need to be rolling across campus bumping a cover of Little John's Put Your Hood Up.
The only way I will do it is if you will be my Camacho. I will be Unico. You will be my Camacho. And we will ride through the campus of Winston-Salem State University with a fucking white boy cover of Put Your Hood Up. The only
First of all, challenge accepted. Duh. Second of all, don't challenge me. I'm dumb enough to do anything.
It would be classic. I mean, it picks or it didn't happen. How's that?
Yeah, that would actually be hilarious. But if you made this the theme song for the Metal Hammer of Doom, I might just have to make every single podcast while you are gone the most obscure, nasty, awful black metal just to counteract it.
That'd be a rough balance.
We would get all
would
10 listens. I've seen what happens when we listen to obscure music like Civil War or Hell, Body Count didn't do that well either because people are like, what the fuck is this?
So clearly I was the only one excited about Body Count.
No, I was excited because I know they did.
I can't say how excited I was. I was sitting there telling Radulich about how, I hadn't listened to the album in 20 years, and was just so excited that you guys were gonna cover it that night, and it gave me something to do two Tuesdays ago.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know Jed was excited.
Yeah, but Jed hates everything, so.
Yeah.
All right, so another track here from the Punk Goes Pop compilation. There was something. First of all, I think I lyrically I really like this song. I don't know who did it originally. I don't care. I really enjoy the lyrics of this song. I think it's a fun song. And as I said, I was talking to Coop online before the podcast started tonight, and I said I have a habit historically of singing relatively inappropriate music to my daughter. As a parent, you go if you ever go through the daddy boot camp and stuff, there's different things you can do to bond with your child. That it's a lot easier for the mom to bond with it. I know this is so interesting to Coop, but because the mom breastfeeds and actually carries the child, there's always an intrinsic connection for the mom. She doesn't really have to put that much more work in. Fathers, if you want to have that bond, you have to put this kind of work in because you're not doing those things. You're not breastfeeding and you're not carrying the child. So you can do like koala care, which is basically, a lot of skin-to-skin carrying of the child, like holding the child with your shirt off. I did a lot of that with Lily. There are tons of pictures of me with no shirt on, holding Lily all the time. That was one way to bond. But the other way is to bond with your child is to sing to them. And, they don't have language skills at this point. So it doesn't really matter what you're singing. You could sing to them the ingredients to a taco salad. But they just want to
sing to me those ingredients, Mark Radulich.
Chopped tomatoes, lettuce, cheddar cheese.
The fruit salad, yummy, yummy.
Oh, fuck you, Jesse, you bastard.
I could do this little ditty right here. Do you want to kill the Batman? It doesn't have to be the Batman.
It has to be the Batman. So fucking wonderful.
As long as you're singing something, your child will be happy. They want to hear your voice. So I used to sing Brown Eyed Girl, which is wildly inappropriate. I used to sing a lot of stuff like Journey. Whatever I could remember the lyrics to. The lyric. I used to sing The Happiness Hotel from The Great Muppet Caper. So I've kind of gotten back into the habit of doing that again, in preparation for Jonas. I got to think of a whole new repertoire of songs to sing. But this morning, to make my wife laugh, and because it was on my mind, I actually, I got out of the shower, I walked up to her, and I said, "You are so beautiful, girl," and I held her hands, and I got down on one knee, and I said, "It's why it'll never work. You left me suicidal when you say it's over now." She's like,
"Oh man."
So because I can't help but do running gags, I turned around, grabbed my daughter's hands. This is now 5 o'clock in the morning, by the way. My daughter just got up. I grabbed her hands, and I'm like, "Daddy wants to sing to you." And I sang this exact same song to her. So the tradition lives on of wildly inappropriate songs to children. And
man, that's some of the most fun you can have when they're that young and they have no idea what you're saying to them. And you can just sing just about dang near anything.
Yep. No, it's and again, my 3-year-old somewhat knows what I'm saying, but she's 3, so it's still fun. All right, here it is. This is enough of that now. Here is Bayside doing "Beautiful Girl."
You're way too beautiful, girl. That's why it'll never work. You had me suicidal when you say it's over. Dark, oh, and way too beautiful, girl. That's why it'll never work. You had me suicidal when you say over.
So, real quick, and then get Coop's reaction on that. We'll play another song here, especially in the interest of time. Comer and I were talking the other day about, we were actually talking about Teasley and how he's coming along really nicely as a host of his own show From the Cheap Seats, which you can hear Thursday nights on the Radulich and Broadcasting Network at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
With me.
And we were talking with Robert Cooper as co-host. And we were just saying, like, he's coming along, and I said we both gave him some advice as people who are, who've been doing podcasts a while. I said, my advice to him was just be natural, be yourself. Don't try to be a radio guy. Don't try to be something that doesn't come to you naturally. Just talk, and you'll find your own voice eventually, and it'll come easy, or it won't, and you'll stop doing it. And it was funny because Sean was like, "That's interesting coming from you," and I said, "Well, I know coming from me, it sounds a little weird because I'm wildly theatrical." But that's me in general. That's just who I am. I'm not, I'm like this normally. I'll go back to when we brought my wife on to do The Long Road to Ruin, Twilight.
I love that episode.
And
your wife seems so pleasant.
She's a nice gal. But about 10 minutes of putting up with me on that podcast, she starts laughing. And
she broke
like,
the headboard.
I'm now real.
Oh, sorry.
The Twilight reference.
God.
She's like, first few minutes of the podcast, she's like, I'm now realizing after a few years of being married to you that this is your personality, and I didn't realize that before. You are, like, Mr. Theatrical everywhere. It's like, that's just not an act. You're like this all the time. But the best part about that, and this is something I was telling Comer, was my daughter is developing my personality, so you have now two wildly theatrical people in the house, and I can't wait till she gets a little bit older, and I can start bringing her on podcasts, and you have both of us singing and acting retarded on the air.
Yeah. See, I get called a drama queen all the time, and then I'm like, isn't that ironic? See, it's funny, because I have a mix of both my parents, and my mom kind of hates my dad a bit, and I picked up some of his more slacker qualities. It's great. Because you ever lived with somebody who pissed off, you could piss each other off just enough to where it was annoying, but you didn't hate him? Yeah, it's like that. But anyways, yeah, this song was really done by Sean Kingston. I remember this song when it was big. See, now you're starting to hover into, like I told you in the pre-show, You're hovering into my heyday of pop music, which was shitty, and I apologize for it. I was part of the problem. Oh, yeah, dude, this is so fucking awful. But, yeah, this was this song was okay originally. It was like a 18, 19-year-old singing kind of a bit of a reggae tune, pop shit this. And I remember Bayside, there's kind of like a pop punk thing. I mean, they're okay. This cover, you're welcome to like it. It's not anything I'll actively hate. It was just kind of for me. It's kind of just fluffy.
Yeah, it actually jumped out at me, I actually signed up, subscribed to my friends list on Spotify, and as I was doing, working with spreadsheets and doing my thing at work, it jumped out at me. I'm like, oh, this is pretty rocking. So so you can blame him as to the reason why we played it tonight. All right, I'm gonna let you introduce the next song there, Coop. We got a band called Nevermore doing some Simon and Garfunkel.
Oh, yeah, dude, Nevermore, so good. I was really lucky. Like, it's funny, the one album by them I really want I've yet to acquire. Like, I really want this Godless Endeavor, which is apparently one of the absolute greatest thrash metal albums ever. Well, they're actually kind of a power thrash, but one of the best shred albums, even at that. But I picked up this album from a Barnes & Noble. Like, seriously, my local Barnes & Noble has probably one of the best new metal selections you'll ever find. Like, not in you, like stuff that you would not find anywhere else. It's insane. Like, apparently, because there's a guy in Winston that runs a CD place, and he knows, Southern Lord and a few of the other, smaller yet quality metal labels, and he hooks the guy up with what he should buy. It's really interesting. Like, there's some weeks I'll walk, sometimes I'll be over there and I'll walk through just, because I have an encyclopedia of bullshit in my head. I'll be like, yeah, you're missing this, this, and this from this week. He's like, oh, thanks, man. I'm like, you're welcome. But yeah, Nevermore, I did not know this cover was on there until I was listening one day. And, like, as you'll hear in the song, the beginning of it, it's kind of just mellow. And I'm like, okay. And then it just kicked it up to 11. And I'm like, holy fuck. Like, oh man, it is nuts. And see, like, I grew up with a dad who loved Simon and Garfunkel, and, like, deep down, I actually like Simon and Garfunkel. But that doesn't, like, stop me from making fun of him anyways. Like, it's funny, because he once looked me straight in the eyes and told me your music is garbage. But, I mean, hey, I like so.
Wow, your dad and my dad should go bowling. My father once said when I was listening to rap music and heavy metal, he was like, I don't give a damn what you listen to as long as I don't have to listen to it. And I actually played for him like a Judas Priest song, and he was like, I don't like your music. It sounds like people are yelling at me. Like, wow.
Yeah, I kind of got that one.
My father does like his folk music, like Simon and Garfunkel, and show tunes. You may now proceed with the gay joke.
Wow.
Oh, God. Yeah, I mean, my dad loves, like, Hendrix, and he loves Pink Floyd and some of the other stuff, but he listens to a few, because I'll give him, he likes Joe Bonamassa, and he's like, oh, I like a few Metallica songs. I'm like, oh, I mean, like, Nothing Else Matters, Enter Sandman. He's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, typical. And then he's like, yeah, I like a few Iron Maiden songs and everything. I'm like, so Run to the Hills and Number of the Beast. He's like, yeah. I'm like, typical. he gets the full force, but well, see, this was at the time I was really like loved the metalcore, and he hated the screaming. He thought it was garbage, and I'm like, it's just another way to sing, bro. He didn't get that, but yeah, they should totally go out.
Did you actually call him bro?
No,
did you actually end that sentence with bro? Because I feel like it undermines your argument if you ended it with bro.
No, I didn't end it with bro. I'm like, it's just singing in a different way, and he's like, sorry, still garbage. No, they should go out. They should go out to eat and then talk politics, and that would go horribly because my dad is hyper conservative. He once told me Democrats don't deserve to vote, and I was like, but that undermines the whole system. Badly. That was like that undermines the whole system. You don't.
Yeah. Meanwhile, my father is like, one of the charter members of the local fucking MoveOn.org, and oh God! If anyone ever follows me on Facebook and sees some of the stuff my dad puts on my Facebook page, this is why like 90% of the people who know my father don't follow him on Facebook. And with that said, silence. Go ahead.
I was just going to interject here. We were talking about dads. I grew up with a stepdad who was in my life for like 17 years. You guys should see he doesn't understand Facebook. I think what he believes Facebook is it's his way of complaining about the fact that his love interest of the day is not paying attention to him. And it's like, dude, just get the fuck off Facebook, please, because I'm going to have to unfriend him. I mean, that's just about what it's going to have to come down to. But anyway, I'm sorry. It was a metal podcast. My bad.
No, that's fine. I told you we were just shooting shit and telling stories tonight. So that's just I got to come back to that. But but if we're this is gonna hard break in about 45 minutes, so we got to get more music on here. But that you just opened up a whole fucking thing that I want to ask you questions about.
Daddy issues.
Oh my God, that's a whole other podcast. All right, here it is. This is Nevermore doing this. Simon and Garfunkel, The Sound of Silence. Well, that was something. My goodness. I just pictured like Gargamel popping out of a casket.
No, sadly,
hello, darkness, my old friend. Hold on here.
I've come to kill the Smurfs and get those Smurf berries.
Gargamel.
That's funny. All right, so let's talk about Jesse's stepdad and how he trolls chicks on Facebook. Now, what's this all about, man?
God.
It's sad is what it is, man. It is sad. I don't know. I've never felt, you know, you grow up with somebody for 14 years, you love the man to death, and you want to tell the guy, get your shit straight, for fuck's sake, but then he was your stepdad at one point. You can't do it. You just can't do it. So
is he just pouring his heart out on Facebook? It's like it's an old like a country music song. Like, why won't you come back to me?
It's sad. The funniest part of it was, this shit's been going on for like a year and a half, but, you know, you can tell when he's down at the local pub getting his drink on because the Facebook is getting lit up. And it's, you know, but one lady called him on it. It's like, it must be Wednesday again because he was going off. And, I mean, it's just sad is what it is. It's some people should not be given the access, or at least you should be able to revoke somebody 3 times, like their Facebook access. You know, they could like a fucking poll of your friends or some shit.
Well, you know, it's funny. They Homer and Cooper goofing on me about the vasectomy, you know, disarmament day. And you know, and then like after the fact, they were like, "Oh, sorry if we offended you." And I'm like, "Let me give you a hint. If I put it on Facebook, other than like maybe like a picture of my child, which is the whole other thing. I'll get to that in just a second. But other than pictures of my kid, you know, or pictures of my wife, if I put something on Facebook, I don't care if people make fun of it. It's, you know, it's one of those things where I'm sharing this, and I understand that this is now subject to the full array of human responses, which could be anything from, you know, people who like it to people who want to make fun of it to people who hate it. And, you know, and I react accordingly. And so, like, the whole vasectomy thing, I'm like, if I didn't want to talk about it, if I didn't feel like, you know, this was up for public consumption, I wouldn't have put it on Facebook to begin with. There's tons of stuff I don't say or do or whatever on social media because I don't want people's I don't care what anyone thinks, and I don't want to get their reaction to it, and it's no one's fucking business. And I really wish more people were like that because people put stuff on. Dude, I have a cousin. I love my family, but I have like one cousin who looked like she was having an argument with her daughter on Facebook. It's like, dude, you people live in the same house.
Oh, fucking white trash moment 42.
you see so much of it too, man, and it's. I tell you what, it's changed the world. Getting to the fucking the philosophy of Facebook here, but it's changed how people fucking argue. It's changed how people, you know, oh no, that person defriended me. I seriously had a fucking 3-day complex because I wasn't friends with somebody anymore on Facebook. I'm like, why did they unfriend me? And that's sad.
Yeah. Nah, man, sad. I know how it feels. Especially if it's like a girl.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, story of my life.
Aw. All right. Before this goes off the rails, so I'm a big fan of alt. Yeah, we are. I am a big fan of alt country, and one of the retrospectives that I want to do when we come back at some point, maybe later on in the year, like September, October, somewhere in there. I want to do alt band extraordinaire Cracker. They have some beautiful, beautiful songs. All they know is Low and maybe Eurotrash Girl. But Cracker has a catalog of beautiful songs. I know, a lot of people sort of outwardly reject country music because it's like, oh, my God, cat died, and, that sort of shit. Or like they got raised on it, and so they're just rejecting the culture that was foisted upon them throughout their childhood. But I think if you divorce yourself from all of that, you just sort of, hi, Coop, and you just appreciate it for what it is, there's a lot of country and alt country that's still worthy of being appreciated. So with that, I give you Whitey Morgan and the Waycross Georgia Farm Boys covering Van Halen's Runnin' with the Devil. First of all, Radulich rule number 346. Anybody with the name Whitey is awesome.
It's a good rule.
Well, I mean, it's good for me. I mean, I've never been called Whitey, but I kind of sort of do fall under that umbrella.
That you haven't heard.
About the bird?
Maybe.
How awesome, Robert Cooper, is Whitey Morgan and the Waycross Georgia Farm Boys?
That was not awful. I mean, then again, I think my main problem with country is I kind of think of modern country, which is a load of dog shit.
Sure.
Fucking pop music with a country twang.
No, I hear you. A lot of country music is terrible, but a lot of pop music is terrible. You know, you got to dig for that. You know, I mean, I'm going to give you another example of something where country was used in a really interesting way. Rebel Meets Rebel, which I believe is David Allan Coe and a couple of the guys from Pantera. They did like a metal country fusion. Yeah, they did a metal country fusion album called Rebel Meets Rebel, and it was amazing. So, like I said, I think there's a lot to appreciate in the country music genre, but all you ever hear is the kind of shit that's going to be on like CMT, you know, which is not all there is in country.
I forgot that channel existed. I was really happy. I made the joke. What was it on Saturday during the gaming podcast? I'm like, yeah, I was doing the podcast with Winfrey and Sean Colmer, and I mentioned the Catwoman movie, and everybody was like, fuck, I forgot about that. And I'm like, that's how I am with CMT. Last time I watched it is because I wanted to see how bad Celebrity Championship Wrestling was. That was bad. Did you ever watch it?
No. Excuse me.
It was fucking awful. Jesus Christ. It's like they learned 3 moves a week or something and had to implement them into their shitty-ass wrestling matches.
How long ago was that?
How long ago was Celebrity Championship Wrestling? Like 3 years ago? It was hosted by Hulk Hogan.
Oh, okay. I might have heard a little bit about that. I was going to say, I was not familiar with that shit at all. But
it was, let's see, when did it come? Oh, wow. Man, I'm bad. It was 2008. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
You know who won?
Who won? What do you mean who won?
Sure.
Oh, was it a person that, what was it, one of them contest shows or some shit? Like somebody who does the best, they're going to win, like some kind of reality shit?
They had Todd Bridges, Trishelle Canatella, Dustin Diamond, Danny Bonaducci, Butterbean, Aaron Murphy, Dennis Rodman, he won, Frank Stallone, Tiffany, and Nikki Ziering.
Rodman won,
and Todd Bridges came in second.
And it's no longer on? Unbelievable.
Hell no. It lasted 1 season. Yeah, it was produced by Hervey and Bischoff. That should tell you something.
All right.
Not familiar, but apparently there's probably a good reason for that.
You're better off.
Yeah, probably very good reason. All right, Cooper. We are rapidly. We have 30 minutes of recordable time left, and then the thing's gonna just stop dead on us. So, if you want to get all your songs in, introduce your next one.
Okay, I think it would be good if I cut out 2, and we'll just do those another time. Next one, okay. I have to. This one's not that deep of a cut. God damn, is it fun. Did y'all know Exodus covered Lowrider? Oh, God. This is another track I discovered when listening to the CD. I was like, man, I bought Fabulous Disaster and haven't listened to it that much. And I popped it in, got to track 4. Then all of a sudden I hear dun 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 dun. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So I put all my windows down, and it was like 40 degrees, and I'm rolling into my community college, fucking Exodus version of Lowrider, just blasting out my little 4-cylinder car speakers. Oh, that was the whitest moment of my life.
Did anyone accuse you of lying, cheating, and stealing?
No, I don't have a Lowrider. I have a Saturn L200.
We lie, we cheat, we steal.
Here is Robert Cooper's tribute to the Guerrero family. So I was digging it until the vocals kicked in, and then it sounded like it was being sung by an evil Cabbage Patch Kid.
Oh, I love Zetro Souza. Oh, well.
All right.
I mean, hey, I can say the same thing about some of your covers.
You'd be wrong.
No, I'd be right. Oh, fuck. If you're going to play what I think you're going to play.
Oh, hells yeah, baby. So here's a song where I love the lyrics. I've actually heard the original, and I think the way they did this was so much better. I'll tell you what, this is one of those deals where I've heard, this band has so many covers that I've heard, they made me a fan of the band, and I've actually gone back through Spotify and listened to their whole archive. And despite myself, I'm actually become a fan of A Skylit Drive, but it's mostly starting with this cover, Love the Way You Lie.
Just gonna stand there and watch me burn. That's alright because I like the way it hurts. Just gonna stand there and hear me cry. That's alright because I love the way you lie. I love the way you lie. I can't tell you what it really is. I can only tell you what it's feeling like. It's a steel knife in my windpipe. I'm gonna burn that fire.
why do you hate that song so much? What bothers you about that song?
Is it let me ask, is it the actual the origin of the song that really pisses you off, or is it just the actual? Okay.
I don't care about the origin of the song. That doesn't do. I mean, yeah, it can hurt if the song is shit. I hate the vocals. I despise those vocals. Fucking high-pitched, whiny-ass fucking man-child fucking singing. Whew.
That's a chick, or that's a dude singing? Wait, so that's definitely a chick singing in between there, right?
No.
Yeah, that's got to be a girl.
That's a guy.
That's a girl.
I could have swore that was a guy.
Okay, you're telling me the beginning part is a dude.
Oh, let me look here. Let me look this up.
No,
I didn't.
Girl,
Scream. Is that a girl? I thought that was a girl.
There's like three people singing, a girl and two dudes.
Was that? Yeah, I don't fucking know anymore. I thought it was I don't know.
Well,
I hate the vocals.
I was going to say, it really. I can tell you, you said the name of the band was a Skylit Drive.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Well, it really. I mean, I've never heard of them before. They sound pretty heavy to me. Remind me of Skillet, like bigger and shit. That's about the only comparison that I can think of. A lot heavier than Skillet, but Skillet's got the same, got the dude singing and the girl singing. It's about the only comparison I can make. Is really educational, as if you could tell. But I mean, they definitely sound heavier than Skillet for sure. But if you're going to tell me, Coop, that that's a dude at the beginning, I'm not listening to that band ever again.
I am very sure that is a guy. I am like
no.
I can't find any like record of a woman being on that song. Like
September 11th, the band posted they were in the studio recording a cover song for the upcoming Punk Goes compilation. Pre-production began on the 12th. The cover of Love the Way You Lie was announced via Facebook.
Is there a picture of the band?
I feel like they brought a girl into the band for that song.
Okay, all right.
Okay, well,
because I'm looking at this and I'm looking at.
Coop's like, I don't fucking think so. That ain't fucking right. Well, I'll tell you right now, I'm going to lose sleep over this shit. So, I mean,
these bands, I can't do these. I cannot do these bands.
All right, let me play.
I feel you on that, Coop. I was definitely curious as to why you didn't like it. Me personally,
I didn't like the breakdown beat either. Like I told, because Mark's like, you don't like that song. You've disappointed me from the last time. I'm like, I'm sorry. I didn't like it at the beginning, and then it hit total like pretty boy metalcore zenith.
I'm gonna go ahead and skip a couple of tracks here and play something that both me and Coop like before we lose Coop entirely. Okay.
Yeah, let's keep Coop on the podcast. Come on.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. This is Ensperum covering "Battery" by Metallica. That's on one of my running mixes. That song is a badass song to run to.
It is. I like their cover of it. You can tell it's not Metallica because the production sounds much more like an Ensiferum song, and I do appreciate that little difference. And I like damn Ensiferum, except for that last album. Ensiferum are awesome, but I actually found a local band that you should totally look into if you like Ensiferum. They're called Aether Realm, and they are somehow a Swedish metal band from North Carolina.
I got at least 2 or 3 more songs I want to cram in here before we go, and I know we're gonna need time for plugs and a special outro. So I'm gonna go right ahead here. This is another one that me and him were talking about, me and Coop. This is Maniac from Flashdance by Evergreen Terrace. If my daughter continues to do dancing and ballet and stuff as she gets older, I desperately want her to know that song and like design a dance routine to it. I think it would be awesome.
That would. I mean, that was a pretty solid version. And yes, I'm right. That was a guy. I found live footage.
No.
It's a guy.
Dude, I'm like absolutely confused sexually now because I'm done.
It is. It's a guy. I mean, I know the sound of high-pitched male vocals. I've had
No, wait, stop the podcast. You're just gonna sit there and watch me burn. That's a dude singing that?
Yeah, it is a guy.
Oh no!
I have live footage. I mean,
I don't know what to believe in anymore.
No, I knew it was a guy, and it. See, it's not my jam. It's not the thing.
Isn't there an Adam Sandler movie where they find out like this chick's a guy and like everybody starts puking?
Yeah, I mean there's
that'd
actually
be me right about now. I mean that's.
There was once at a marching band competition we could not figure out if this one person was a guy or a dude, so we sent in my friend Jess, who was gay. Yeah, she figured it out. She figured it out for us. I'm like, Jess, you know the difference. Go, Jess. I choose you. And then she's like, yeah, it's a girl.
I choose you.
I choose you, Jess. I choose you.
Go sniff him out.
Go figure out what it is. And she's like, yeah, that's a guy. Or no, that's a girl. I'm like, okay. As long as we have that figured out, because we couldn't hear because it was a band competition. You know, it was like very ambiguous.
All right,
we gotta know. Bets are going on the side. I used to work in an arcade, and there would be probably every 3 months we had shit going on like that where we were like, that's definitely a dude. No, man, that's a chick. I don't know how we're going to find out.
I hung out in a lot of goth and industrial clubs, and believe me, there were definitely a lot of a lot of ambiguous sexuality going on in those places, and girls using masking tape for bras. All right, speaking of which, we promised some Dio, so here it is. This is Killswitch Engage doing Holy Diver.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
I love that song. That was a great pick. Great pick.
Oh,
yeah,
I love that cover. That's what got me into that.
It's on my running mixes. That's one I play constantly. It's Kill Switch Engage, whether you love them or hate them, really hit it out of the park with that one. All right, we got one more song here I want to jam into this podcast, and then we are going to start to close out because we are vastly approaching the end of this podcast. We got about 14 minutes left and an hour's worth of plugs. So here we go. This is Sleeping with last from the Punk Goes Pop. I'm going out with this, man. I'm hitting it hard. Shut up. This is Sleeping with Sirens covering it's CeeLo something or other. This is called
CeeLo Green.
Fuck You. There we go. Fuck You by CeeLo Green.
I see you driving downtown with the girl I love, and I'm like, fuck you. I guess the change in my pocket wasn't enough. I'm like, fuck. I'm sorry, I can't afford a Ferrari, but I got something, I'll get you there. That season ever, and I'm more sorry, but the way you play your game ain't fair. I'm ready to fool, they fall in love with you. She's a gold digger, she's a gold digger. Ooh, I got some news for you. Why don't you go tell your fucking boyfriend? Driving downtown with the girl I love, and I'm like, fuck you. I guess the change in my pocket wasn't enough. I'm like, fuck you and fuck her too. And if I was richer, to be a winner, ain't that the shit? Ain't that the shit? All those pain in my chest, I do it to the best. And fuck you.
Love it. Love that song. I sing it in the jail.
Yes, you
That's
do.
appropriate.
I like the original. I like the original better. That version was.
I've never heard the original. Yeah, I have no idea what the song's
should look
supposed
it
to sound
up.
like.
It's the original's fun. It's got some soul to it. CeeLo's I love some CeeLo Green. He's a great singer. Yeah, it's
But I like
fun.
the drumming I like the drumming in that version.
I didn't pay attention. I thought some of the vocals in this one were okay. Again, that was a guy. Just in case anybody needed clarifying, that was a guy.
Yeah, I was going to ask, but
yeah, I can usually
So
tell between the two because I've heard enough girl singers of the same genre to differentiate.
Dude, considering there's bands like Arch Enemy out there, some girls sound more manly than dudes.
Hey, you know Arch Enemy had their singer is now their manager. She has stepped down.
Oh, is that what happened? Okay, I knew she stepped down.
And then
why.
She didn't get.
And then they got.
What was there a reason why she had to step down?
She wanted to focus on management. Is what she said.
Okay.
Now
I
they
didn't know
got
if there was
the
like
girl
she
from.
was.
Now they got the girl from the Agonist, and she wanted to stay with the Agonist, and the Agonists were like, "Fuck no! If you're going to another band full time, we got to find somebody else." So they found somebody else. Yeah, I mean that's kind of how that goes. I mean,
indeed. All right. So this has been fun. We'll have to do this again. I think every once in a while we're just going to kick back and do a covers one because there's so many, and I had a lot of fun just kind of bullshitting around tonight. I'm really happy Jesse joined in. Jesse, you are free to call in and shoot the breeze with us anytime you like. I certainly appreciate your devoted fandom to the Radulich Broadcasting Podcast.
No, absolutely. I love listening to you guys. You know that. It's a lot of fun. And definitely glad I could get in here before you. This is the final podcast before you hit the Jonas Exodus, right?
We scheduled one more for a week from Tuesday. We were going to do the
that's right.
Austrian
Yeah,
Death Machine album.
we got Austrian Death Machine.
But I mean, it's so hard to know right now what's going to happen. So
I hear you, man. I hear you.
So I mean, it's tentatively on the schedule, but if it doesn't happen, then we'll do it another time. That's pretty much where I'm at with that. Coop, it is now 11:50 Standard Eastern Time. You have literally 5 minutes to do your plug. I'm cutting you off musically.
Get her done, Coop. Come on, man.
Okay.
4 minutes. Go.
Ready? Okay. So the Radulich Broadcasting Network is pretty much your home for any and all podcasts you could ever need to look for, including this one here that is every other Tuesday on every other Tuesday night at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. It's pretty awesome. There's also From the Cheap Seats, which is hosted by Jason Teasley and myself. We talk sports unless there's nothing going on, and then we talk rectal thermometers, frozen, and commentate basketball games. It's pretty fun. Look for us every Thursday at 9 o'clock. It's popular time. And then, let's see, last Friday I was on Everyone Loves a Bad Guy with Robert Winfrey and Sean Comer as we talked Batman villains, or as I like to call it, I impersonated everything I could and got a song stuck in Mark's head. There's also the Sentai Writer podcast, which is my baby. I love it. Everybody should listen to it. Jason Teasley can attest. The shows are good. I got him to watch some of them, and he liked them.
Bane. I got no Bane on the podcast.
Oh, man. Okay, you ready? Okay. Make sure to look for us on Facebook.com/Sentai Rider Podcast. It is all one word, Batman. Do not forget to look at the Cooperative Multiplayer Podcast that comes on Spreaker.com on the TWNE After Dark page. And live at midnight, Batman. It will be your ears reckoning as you listen to myself, Sean Garmer, and Daniel Anderson talk video games on the Wrestling to the Max page. Be there, be square. And also, go to 411media.com and the Music Zone Batman and find the Hammer of Doom News Report. It'll come out eventually when I don't have tons of homework or podcasts. About you, Mark Radulich, you bitch.
No, you're supposed to end that with "Kill the Batman." That's the best part.
Tonight we kill the Batman.
Absolutely epic.
There must be one of us for the records, brother.
Very good. All right. I'll be back tomorrow night if I'm not in the hospital. I have to qualify everything right now. We'll be back tomorrow night with the Casual Heroes WrestleCast. We might be doing that live on the Rattlism Broadcasting Network as Chris Evans is in the hospital. So we wish him a speedy recovery. Hopefully he's back tomorrow night. If not, then I'll be holding it down for the Casual Heroes. And if I'm not here because my wife has gone into labor, then Robert Winfrey is your third string WrestleCast host. That's the line of ascension here. So,
so do I get fourth string just so I can annoy Jed?
Oh boy.
There we go. All right, so that's it. We're gonna end this podcast the way we began, with another version of Supernaut, this time by Battle Metal Extraordinaire Tursis. Folks, don't know when I'll see you again, but I hope I see you soon. Be well, be safe, and behave.